Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to this is the After Hours special of FDG TV. I'm Tommy Thompson. I am Chief Button Presser. I'm not your host tonight. Well, I am one of your hosts, because in fact, this time we're bringing the whole gang to come and hang out with me. So that means I am just working on button pressing. Here we go, folks. Everyone is in. They are live. They are here. You all know Anne Sullivan down there on the bottom. But of course, we have our chief antagonist, Antonius Leapis, in the top left. And resident best paper watcher, Mike Cook, who has returned home safe and sound. Although it doesn't look like it with your background, let's be honest.
This is where my heart still is.
Out there looking for best papers.
Exactly.
That's fair.
That's me. I'm done. I think all my heavy lifting's finished.
I believe the usual question is, who's producing the show now?
Oh, yeah, that's true. We don't have Antonius yelling at us.
If someone would just like to log into our Discord server and just give me grief for the next 55 minutes, that'd be great.
That would make us feel much more comfortable, honestly.
That's something that's not clear when the show's going on, is that like Tommy and Anne are not only doing a great job like pacing through the questions and interviewing people, but Antonius is talking to them like pretty much constantly, actually, like, giving them hints and guidance and stuff, and they're also reading and internalizing that and responding to it at the same time. It's a really impressive
actually, I was going to say the one secret to this year is Antonius is in the room in every single episode. So the way that we usually do this is a Zoom call. Surprise. Actually, Mike already spoiled this. This is a Zoom call, but the way it works is that we actually record in a breakout room. So we actually, all four of us are actually involved in every episode, because Mike sits outside because we need someone amicable and amiable to welcome people as they come onto the call. So that's Mike's job. Mike comes in and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Right, we'll bring you into the call whenever we're ready, etc." And then usually when we do the live stream, Antonius is there as well, but he's also haranguing us. But this year, because we did it pre-recorded, we realised that he can't watch the stream and harass us. So what we had to do is Antonius has been in every single episode with his camera off, with his mic off, in the call. And I think there's like 2 or 3 times you actually spoke, and then I had to edit it out. No. It wasn't it wasn't like you interrupted. It was you were chatting.
Oh, right.
Or
yes, because we would chat before. So if you notice, every time Tommy's on screen by himself, he will take his headphones off. That's usually because I'm sitting there telling him, "Tommy, take your headphones off," because we're chatting with the guests before they come on screen. And so he can hear us through the headphones, but hear YouTube or his recording without them. I don't even know how it works over there.
It's all magic.
There's some serious tech happening. But that is why he keeps taking his headphones off and putting them back on.
Because they'll be having a conversation and I'm just like, I can't hear myself think. And so I have to disconnect from it until eventually everybody is going like this on this monitor. Yes. And then it's like, okay, cool. Now I can do the transition and everything. Also, just going to say, Anne, I'm digging the unicorn get up. Also, as a Scotsman, that is my national animal. So
excellent. I guess not everybody knows this. My email address is actually unicorn@cottech.edu. So
which is mad props, by the way, for getting that.
Thank you. The idea actually comes from Kashana Gray, who has a unicorn at, I think she's at University in Chicago, UIC maybe. And so I saw it and had to also follow suit.
So everybody, I think we already spoiled what we're going to be talking about how the sausage is made. That was one of the questions, but maybe we want to lead with, FDG ending today, and with it, the second season of FDG TV. How are you guys feeling, I guess? I don't know why, like, you made me come out of my cave. Like, I had to change my whole building here to come online, and I'm now the host, apparently.
We asked him to turn his camera
how are
on.
you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling?
I mean, this is normally what you do, Antonio. So you're in the back there being like yelling at us about what to talk about. And so it only makes sense you're doing it live. We're great. How are you, Antonio?
We're all right. Yeah.
I'm a little tired, I'm imagining, because it's 11 p.m. where you
It
are.
is, yeah. And I have to wake up very early tomorrow. But I'm very glad that we're doing this live because we get to mess up and
A little bit different.
there's no editing opportunity. So this is
yeah.
The best.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think, as always, it being the end of a conference, I'm tired. But for a different... I always find online conferences now, it's a very different set of circumstances, because usually when you're at a physical conference, you're so engaged in conversations and socializing and turning up to talks, whereas particularly for me, like I find it very difficult to switch off from the other things that I'm doing. So I come in the morning, I do my tech check for FDG TV. Antonius and I are kind of having an ongoing discussion throughout the day on the program, and things he's not happy with. Then I'm doing other work, trying to pay attention to what's happening at the conference, and then we actually do the recording, and then I usually have another 2 hours after the episode to edit, upload, etc., etc. So I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling it.
I think everybody in the audience is feeling it too. I mean, it's the end of a conference. It's been a week. We are so thankful that you all are here because we understand.
It shows dedication. Yeah, like you're watching you're watching the screen for another, I assume, another 5 hours, guys, right?
How long?
The way things are going, I feel like it's gonna be a while.
Well, on that note, Anne has actually prepared a wonderful agenda for us today. So, what is first on that agenda, Anne?
Well, Antonio's already covered it because the next thing on here was how tired are we? But yeah, we were going to talk about what worked well this year during the TV shows. So, this is your second year. I was on only one of the episodes last year, but you all were there every day last year. How does it compare? And what worked better this year?
We made some pretty important changes. I mean, we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but one of the, if you were there last year, what you probably noticed this year was that the episodes were a lot less cramped. We tried to have on 4 guests every episode last year, and 2 of them were only allotted like 5 minutes each for like a summary, because we thought, well, we'll summarize what happened during the day and that'll be like cool. But people were already there during the day. So it was
on
too
Zoom,
much on every
no less.
level. Yeah. And that also means, like, from our perspective in production, that's twice as many emails, people to try and get on, twice as many people to make sure turn up. So we jettisoned that, and it was just like the whole show just like started breathing. It was like, so the change was profound, I think. For me, that was like the biggest takeaway. That worked really well this year. The episodes just felt so much more comfortable as a result. I really like that change.
Yeah.
What about you, Tommy?
So certainly, this is the double-edged sword, but the decision to move it to being pre-recorded, because I'm here as chief button presser, and so I handle the stream, I handle the recording, I do the editing, I do all the YouTube uploading, gubbins and everything, and as a result, so running the live stream, so this is a bit different because this is much more laid back. We're being much more laissez-faire about it all.
We have no guests to stress about when they should come
Exactly.
on, how much time they have, and, how upset they are that they should be on earlier.
There's a lot of, I think this actually maybe is, I think one of the questions that we had tackles this, but there's a lot of mental juggling for me, because I've got to keep an eye on where we are in the recording. I've got to keep an eye on where our guests are. I've got to keep an eye on Antonius giving me grief. I've got to maintain, I've got to be, and also Anne and I are both reading the production notes and trying to have a conversation and try to talk to our guests at the same time.
And listen to what they're saying.
And I regret getting rid of my third monitor, because I used to have 3 monitors at my desk, and I miss my third one because I know exactly what I would use it for now, because I've got so many different things open on 2 monitors right now. So on one hand, pre-recording it made my life a lot easier, so that we could edit stuff if there was issues. Interestingly, although you're going to discover in a bit, there was quite a few edits. The first couple of days, the first day there was no edits. I just did a couple of minor edits just to smoothen some transitions, but the first day we were on point. Yesterday my God, I had to edit so much of it because we had technical problems and a bit of dead air a couple of times. And I think that's just for energy levels coming down. So,
Mike also cursed us.
That too.
Yes. Mike got on Twitter and said how smooth everything was going. And then shockingly, the next day, everything went to shit. Can I say that? Are you gonna have
it's
to
fine.
bleep that out?
You did now.
Okay.
Yeah, bleep it in the edit, it's fine.
Hang on. I didn't have a bleep button on my stream. No.
Okay.
I want to just point out, Christoph Salga just said in the chat, I'm listening to Tommy and all I'm hearing is everyone else is lazy. No, I think one of the key things to point out is that how much everyone else has different tasks that are involved. My job is the technical bit. So particularly Mike was saying about emails, chatting to guests, inviting guests on. That's his job. So Mike is sort of our first point of contact for anyone coming on. Mike is then trying to smoothen all that out. A lot of the production notes that we have, Mike prepares a lot of the actual content and structure of that for us. Antonius is kind of righting the ship and keeping it going the whole time. And so he's kind of making sure the plates are spinning. And then Anne, I think also Antonius and Anne, you spend more time preparing the final production notes than I do, because I read all the papers and maybe provide some questions, but I'd say the bulk of the questions actually come from the pair of you. So
it depends, but
yeah.
Antonius has done a lot of administrative stuff as well, like making sure this thing actually happened, which was pretty crucial. And Anne does a lot of work, like Anne actually does kind of work at every stage, I would say. Like Anne's done a lot of work on production notes as well, and like just a lot of stuff interfacing with the community. Like Anne's been the one that you've all been meeting on Discord. I think I've seen some thank yous for her already.
And of course, our wonderful, surroundings here, all the art, all the Twitter banners. Our home is decorated by Anne, basically.
I don't know how you three feel, but for me at least, out of everything I've done in my whole life, this is the team effort that feels the most balanced, and like everyone pulls their weight so well. It's really great. It's a fantastic team.
I feel like we're going to probably dig into that in some of the questions. It's important that everybody has a role and we kind of stick to it, with obviously knowing that someone must pull their weights when everybody else is.
Yeah, no, I think one of the other lovely things, and we're all just going to talk about how great everybody is on this team, but anytime somebody's just like, I'm feeling underwater, like I feel like I have too many things on my list, people just jump in to take things off and to handle things, and so it's such a great team. And I think it shows, honestly.
Yep. I appreciate you all very much.
So we done our thanks, and I guess it's credits.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Sorry, I just saw Josh McCoy said in the chat, tank heals DPS support.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Not sure who's who now.
I think I'm tank, probably, because I'm the one that's going out.
Yeah. Well, Mike is heals.
Yeah. And so I think you're DPS, Antonio.
No, I think
yes.
I'm
support. I'm the only one that's never.
I would have said Anne's DPS.
Yeah, you're
really?
there with the like wrangling and the
Interesting.
JD7H says the FDG TV videos also taught me about biscuits. We have more biscuit content.
There's more biscuits coming.
We have more
Some
biscuits for
content.
you.
We have more biscuits.
Speaking of which, should we move on?
Yes, we should.
We should get on, otherwise we're never going to get through this.
So I just want to point out one of the things that did work really well this season, Mike's best paper watch.
Thank you.
So
we're just going to sit here and listen to Mike's blush, because it's so strong that it actually is emitting noise.
Also, I think it's worth pointing out that, like pretty much everything we've done, it started as a bad idea that one of us wouldn't give up on.
Yeah.
So every single thing we've done, whether it's the photo challenge, whether it's best paper watch, whether it's FDG TV itself, was a bad idea that somebody then said to somebody else, and the other person went, "Oh my God, you need to do it."
Yes.
In fact, I think that's one of the questions that's coming up is kind of about this. So maybe do we just get into that?
Yeah. Why don't
let's just do it like this, because we're basically just yapping anyway, so we can just connect them.
Yeah. Well, we can get to the community questions.
So
go for it.
I do have one story that I'd like to tell about Best Paper Watch, just very briefly, because before we get into the questions, only because it isn't related to anything else and it might not come up. So when we started doing the things, I needed some folksy kind of music to play over the intro. So I went to this free music website and I just like clicked on some stuff until I found this lovely piece of music, some strings, fine, throw it into Adobe Premiere. And you'll see at the end, it's credited Robert Farmer. And then at the end of the week, I thought, I wonder where this song actually is. So I looked up to see if Robert Farmer had a Bandcamp, and sure enough, he does have a Bandcamp. And I thought, oh, well, let me just have a look at what's on the Bandcamp. And I found the song, and the song is from, I believe, let me see if I can actually see. I prepared almost everything, but it's from 1996, the original song.
What?
And he's still making music now. His last album came out in 2021. And so I bought the album that song was on, gave him a huge tip and left a message saying, thank you so much for putting this free music online. And he emailed me back 3 days ago and said that it was wonderful to find out that someone had found, his music useful, and he put it out onto the internet. And I actually ended up listening to more of his music today, and it's absolutely delightful. So I just wanted to say, there is a link to it later on, but Robert Farmer, like the person who owns a farm, .bandcamp.com. And if you did like Best Paper Watch and you have €1 or €2 or pounds or dollars spare, In the Wilderness, all of his music is free on Bandcamp. I would recommend In the Wilderness. It's Bandcamp Friday today. Chuck a couple of dollars his way. You'd make me very happy because his music is wonderful. Okay, story over. Continue, Anne. Thank you.
That's awesome. What was that, Antonius?
I did have a joke about we have to cut a commercial, and here we are now. Keep going, Anne. It's fine. It was a very good point.
Yeah, well, if we'd asked the question first and then done the commercial, it would have been perfect. Okay, so Matthew Gesdile wrote in to ask us, what was your favorite moment at FDG this year? Everybody's like, you go, you go.
I can give one if people need time to think.
No, the problem is that we're all going to say the same thing. That's my main concern.
I don't know what we're going to say. So
I actually let me go first.
Okay, go.
We generally, at least for me, it was really hard. Early on, we discovered that it was really hard to, plan a show, do a show, and also attend many of the events at FTG because you understand we have to prep, we have to go online 30 minutes before. Do everything, that's cutting really into FTG. So I think I watched 2 sessions the first 2 days and then basically, ended that. And so today we had a lot more time. So obviously I attended a lot of the sessions, which was great. And the reflections track was my highlight as before it even started, but also in terms of the presentations, all 3 of them were very clear. Obviously, all 3 of them were very interesting in a completely different way, one from the other. I'm just going to say the whole reflections session today was very good.
It's awesome, man. I'm really happy to hear that. I agree. The papers were amazing.
And a very good chair that actually engaged with people and advertised the... I wasn't going to say anything bad. I mean, you guys have made me sound like a jerk, and I know it's on brand. No. Keep going.
Tommy, what about you?
So I echo a lot of Antonius's points about participating in a conference while you're doing this stuff. Like, it's interesting because I'd actually say that it's probably about 6 hours a day are spent doing FDG TV while you're at the conference. And so I actually tried to attend a lot of the sessions earlier in the week. And I found that my participation has dropped. I didn't make anything today because I had to go and do work stuff elsewhere. What I've really enjoyed doing, because I'm the person that presses all the buttons, is, and a thank you to the wonderful folk actually organising FDG this year, because the videos start popping up on the YouTube channel, and that means I get to go and catch up on all the things I miss. Right. So I've actually been spending a lot of time, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, bookmarking all the papers that I wanted to see that I missed. So actually for me, this is really difficult to answer, but if you ask me a week from now, I'll be able to tell you, because I'm not really going to experience FDG until the end of next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
That's a good answer.
So not an answer, but there you go.
So for just real quick, the thing I really liked this year is how experimental people were getting. It was really cool to see like an audio only keynote that was meant to be listened to while you move around, and that there were 4 different ones. The reflections track, I think, was another one. We did a lot of experimentation on FDG TV as well, and that was really fun. But just kind of people really starting to embrace like, okay, it's virtual, how can we make it better?
Yes.
I really like that.
Yeah, I was going to shout out Rilla as well, actually, because these remote conferences, every remote conference is hosted in the same location, which is my front room. And having a bit of that conference that I could take away with me when I walked to the shops was really nice, actually. That was one of my highlights. And I'd say the other one was the First Timers channel and the PhD Students channel, because it reminded me a lot. I mean, I'm cognizant of it anyway, but it was a strong reminder of the people who have really been hurt the most maybe in our community by remote conferences. I mean, there are many other harms that have happened during COVID, but thinking about that from the FDG perspective, it was a reminder of like, actually, these people need some extra support and some love, and I really like that. And thanks to Anne actually for suggesting, I think, the First Timers channel. I think that was you, right?
There's a lot of first timers. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Also here, but I guess we're going to talk about that later.
Josh says here, loved the audio keynote. It was great to listen to during my morning jog. So before we do FDG TV, I usually go and exercise in the hour before to balance myself. So I ghost the team, which is a bit rubbish because Antonius will be asking for technical things to be fixed in like 90 minutes before we go live, and like I'm nowhere around until like 20 minutes before we start. But yeah, I listened to the keynote when I was out on my run, and it worked out really nicely. I think, what's the next question?
All right, so this one is a shorter one, hopefully.
Let's see.
So this is from Judith Van Stickeren. I probably
think so.
Go.
Okay, I'm gonna ask.
None of us know exactly how it's pronounced, but I assume it's Stegeren. But
Stegeren. Okay, was FDG TV an initiative to expand the remote implementation of FDG, or is it something that happened during IRL FDG conferences as well? So I feel like y'all can answer this.
It was originally intended. I'm going to tell this because I remember my side of this story because it was ridiculous. So this only happened last year for the first time because the FDG in Malta, which Antonius was the general chair for. Mike, what were you?
Keynote
I was
chair.
there.
You were
keynote
chair.
Keynote panel and Discord chair.
Right. I knew you had many hats. I couldn't remember what they were, and so I got an email about 10 days before the conference started, and we've got this from the two of them going, we've got this really weird idea. We want to do this live chat show on the internet. We're going to get people in from the conference, we're going to chat to them about it, and we're going to make it this ongoing thing throughout the week to help support the conference. You're the only person we could think of dumb enough to say yes. What do you think?
And how did we call that show?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
Wasn't it a late night show with Tommy Thompson or something?
Oh yes, that was the working title for the project.
That was the working title. Yeah. So so this is what, about August. This is a year ago, and
it was a
quite
little
late
before.
August.
Yeah, it was 20 August or something. I was in Crete
still
vacationing for this.
We're still in peak lockdowns and what have you in the UK, and I went out grocery shopping with my wife, and I get this ping on my phone, and I laughed out loud so hard I freaked out everyone in proximity of me in the supermarket. This big Scottish guy just properly howling, with my mask on, of course. I'm respecting and social distancing and everything else, and my wife is like, what is going on? I'm like, these two stupid bastards want to do some live show for FDG this year. And then within about 2 days, we had a rough pass of it ready.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, I want to add a couple of things here. First of all, I want to say why I love working with Antonius. I'm going to embarrass Antonius for a bit, because me and Antonius were having a meeting about something completely unrelated. And I joked to him that I'd thought about the idea of like how funny a talk show would be. And Antonius is the only person I know who runs full pelt at these like stupid ideas and says, yeah, let's do it. Because it wasn't a serious suggestion. We didn't it was an idle thought that we could do years down the line. And he was like, let's do it in 2 weeks. Let's just get it done. And Antonius is such a get it done person. And that's why he's like where he is in our team. And I also
Yes.
want to say, Anne, like we wanted to have, I hosted a couple of episodes last year, and we wanted to rotate the hosts around a bit, and Anne very kindly stepped up. And the chemistry between Anne and Tommy and the rapport with the guests was so instantaneous that we're already great friends with Anne, and we've all worked with her in different ways in the past, but like we could not have her on as the other host because it was just too perfect.
Yeah.
You. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We're only supposed to embarrass you, Mike, not the other way around. Okay. So we're going to just move on to the next question. Like this is another one from Matthew Gazdile. He had lots of questions. So he says, thanks for doing FDG TV again this year. You're welcome. Thanks for watching. FDG has a huge variety of work. Oh, I think a lot of people have this question. How did you decide what papers to highlight and how? Best paper watch versus interviews, etc.
I think you should answer this one, Anne, because I think you've got a good handle on this.
Do I?
Yes.
So I'll do my best and then you all can correct me. So last year it was mostly focused on best papers. They were the ones we were interviewing. But this year we were having trouble figuring out how to balance having some good representation on the show, because one of the things we wanted to do with this show is highlight people that maybe aren't as well known in the community, or are, some of the newcomers to the community, and basically give them a platform for people to hear more about what their work and who they are. And so, looking through the best papers, it was like, that wasn't quite the representation we were going for. And then Mike had this brilliant idea of like, well, how about if I pre-record this best paper watch? And so all of the best papers will get some love, and we can still have interviews with people that maybe, could use some more attention to their work.
Can I add to
go
this?
for it.
I'm sorry. Also, because we weren't sure, it was a few weeks back, 3 weeks back, if I remember, we weren't sure if it was voting, so we didn't want to show some best papers.
Yep.
And because whichever reason we didn't show some others, we didn't want to bias the process like that. So this was easier. Everybody got a moment in the sun by the same person, by the same presentation format. Maybe you liked, the garden more than the sea, but it was at least fair in that regard. So that was also a factor. Obviously, representation was a big concern, but that was also another thing that factored in.
Yeah, that's a really good point. But the theme was also inclusivity and diversity, and so a lot of the papers we were looking for were around that theme. And Antonios did a lot of heavy lifting of looking through the papers, but also getting a good representation across tracks, because we wanted to represent every single track. And then, of course, not everybody can do it, so you need to have backups, and that was where the logistical magic of Mike and Antonios working together really came through.
Can I add a little bit more on this?
Yeah, please, go for it.
It's fine. So, I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a moment, since it's my first time out of my garage. We want to have a place where it's, first of all, safe for people to, really express what they can't in a presentation format, and also to show to the viewers, which might not be from FDG, right? This is a public show. We wanted it public from the beginning, that, it's many different voices, many different topics. So we wanted many tracks. We wanted many different faces, as good a representation as we could muster, and with all the logistics of it. One last thing that, actually two more things, sorry about this, is that they needed to work in a talk show format, right? So a lot of papers that are more technical, especially if they're, this was not the case here, but let's imagine a computer vision paper, there's a bunch of numbers, there's a bunch of, algorithms. It's really hard to explain in a question format, right? And so we had to also think of that, like what would be of general interest to a broad audience and, accessible in terms of questions. And one other problem that we had when figuring out the question is not explicitly what should be on, but to spoil enough without actually taking the spotlight from the actual talk. I still hold that you can't, because it's a completely different format, venue, vibe, presentations, graphs, whatever it is, but still not take up too much. And we had that issue. We tried to deal with it, but I'm sure there's ways we could have done it better to make sure that the questions were enough of a taster, but have enough meat for people to actually attend the TV show and learn something, and not just go, well, now I know what the title is, right? Which we had this problem last year, where we had, for example, 5-minute guests, and that's really not enough to do anything really with it.
I think there's also the kind of unspoken element of the layout of this team is that we are all predominantly game AI researchers, and as you'll have noticed, we're all predominantly white men. And one of the things we wanted to avoid, and I remember this was a big discussion we had last year, and then of course this is led into this year, as well as Antonius and I did the summer school TV just a month prior to this, is we don't just want to invite our friends on, or even just people that we are familiar with, because that's too easy. That's the easy route out of this. So let's look for the research that seems interesting, and we already talked about the distribution of work, and I would say certainly for Mike and Antonius in particular, your work is very front heavy, whereas Anne and I, it's more tail heavy, because we have more work to do on the day, whereas in the weeks prior, that's where your work is. And both of you do a really good job of finding interesting speakers, finding interesting content, and then I kind of stay out of this to a certain extent. I mean, I do speak up periodically, but I've learned that I should focus on my tech bit, because I trust these guys to put together a good set of speakers and guests, and then I put my energy into going away, reading the paper, understanding the paper, being able to ask a question about the paper, but it doesn't look like I'm coming up with it on the fly.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very difficult balancing act overall.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. No, please go.
No, you go.
Okay, fine, I'll go. I just wanted to touch on something that we've kind of highlighted, but haven't, I think, said explicitly, which is this year, one of the things that we did is we actually wrote questions ahead of time and sent them to the authors. So I think that actually was something that really helped, because people had a chance to think through the questions and then be able to answer them, and we could have a much meatier conversation than just putting them on the spot.
Yeah.
And great for first timers and PhD students who might be a bit more nervous.
Exactly.
Well.
Right.
So in terms of, I didn't do the numbers because apparently here we are, but we had a lot of first timers, at least for the live shows. And I know that this is, you've probably only caught this week, but we also did 3 periodic shows, aperiodic shows, I guess, but 3 sporadic shows during the early 2021. And obviously there we had more chairs because things weren't happening yet. So we tried to get a lot of newcomers. Actually, we didn't really know that they were newcomers, but yeah, get some fresh faces. And can I also, sorry, I keep talking, but offer kudos to, there were a lot of co-authors in many of the papers, and it's easy to have people that we know on, but they also agreed, or they suggested that the fresh faces of FDG come forward and be acknowledged for their hard work.
Yeah, huge thanks to everyone who helped get our guests on.
Absolutely. Are you ready for another question?
I think so.
Okay. So Florence Smith Nichols, did I do that right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Florence, well, they'll tell me in 30 seconds. What advice would you have for anyone who wanted to try and set up a similar show for their conference or event?
Plan it out with more than 2 weeks.
Why?
Which we never do. Even this
do.
year, we were 2 weeks before FDG. We're like, right, lads, here we go.
Let's change everything. So this is the thing.
Right.
I made a plan.
We had the whole
I
thing
made a
planned
plan
out.
about morning show, and then we have one meeting about 1.5 hours, and we ended up with Mike looking into his mom's garden for best papers, and then everything changing in terms
That's
of
true.
time and format and everything.
This is all because I didn't want to get up at 7 a.m.
But
it worked much better, to be fair.
The time zones were proving to be really problematic for us now.
In fairness, we did do some rehearsal shows throughout the year, which I think did help sharpen our skills and help us think about the thing more. The thing I wanted to say in response to this question, and by the way, I'm going to embarrass someone who's not on the show now by thanking Florence for the question. Florence is starting as a PhD student with me in October, and they're going to be doing some very interesting work on archaeology and procedural generation. You won't want to miss it. So thank you, Florence. So there's in our Discord channel, there's a channel called I can't remember what it's called. It's to-do lists or something. And at the end of last year, I wrote a little
called plans and tasks, by the way.
Plans and tasks. Thank you, Antonius. I wrote one note there that said, to do, write blog post explaining how we put on FDG 2020. FDG TV.
January 2021, by the way.
Hang on, I'm looking it up now because I actually started.
It was the only message in that channel for a while. Well, we filled it with spam this week, Tommy, but it was
I started using it. I actually started using it, and Antonius gave me shit for it. Pardon my French, because I was the first post in there in 8 months.
Yeah, well, he was giving you that because he loved the fact that was just sitting alone, and I hadn't done it. And he occasionally would anytime I would make grand plans, he would quote it at me. It was very funny. But we promise we are planning to release not just a blog post explaining what we did, but also release some of our resources, blank documents of planning and production. But in terms of actual advice, Florence, if there's anyone interested, and people have come to me talking about this, my advice would just be to do it and not to worry about how low tech it is, how bad it is, how unplanned it is. Just go for it. It's fine, because that's what we've done, and that's what Antonius and I have been doing previously prior to FDG TV. We didn't know how we were going to do exag. We just did the workshop. We didn't know how we were going to put on Viewport, which was this event we did prior to COG. We just winged it, and people look at you all in the chat. You're such a wonderful community. People love someone who tries, and they are supportive, and they will help you wing it. So just go for it. But we will release some resources to help you.
Yes, absolutely.
The other thing, please go on. I
just wanted to say the other advice I would give is don't try to do it by yourself.
Yes, that was one of I wanted someone else to touch on this, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Like Tommy mentioned, his days were 6 hours. Mine were also quite long, partly because I procrastinated, but there's just a lot that happens, and trying to do it all yourself will burn you out so quickly. And having a team that you can rely on is such an important part of why this works. But also our first few were they're kind of rough, and it's only through practice that we've really started nailing some of this stuff down. And now we have kind of a system that works for us, and it may not work for everybody else, but it's through that practice, and whatever. Nobody really notices.
One of the things that actually happens at the end of every episode is we do have an immediate post-mortem right after we finish. And even this week, even though it's been recorded, we still have a 5-minute chat prior to ending the call and my beginning my editing. We would have and it's usually Antonius, these are all the things that weren't good. And
maybe we should play the Antonius blooper reel. We
should play I wish I'd recorded it all, but yeah. But no, it's an important thing to acknowledge. Here's the things that we realized didn't work well this time. We then potentially revise the format. We Anne and I are always figuring out our cadence as host and co-host in this. This is much more difficult to find that rhythm in a virtual sense than it is physically. And I mean, a shout out to yourself and also to all of our co-hosts we've had, over both here and at the summer school over the last year, because it's not easy to do. Even though a lot of the co-hosts we did bring in are people who know me in person, and you and I have only ever actually met in person half a dozen times.
Yeah, maybe even less.
Yeah. And we've got on well together there, but still trying to build this rapport in an online format. So being able to be your own worst critic, but also practicing at times. So we do practice streams before every conference. We do a tech check, but we also just try and get back in the rhythm of doing this. And no, you can't see them because they're terrible.
Oh, they're so bad.
One thing, if I can just use an example for the debrief. So what happened in the first day, we realized that, it's important that we explain what the paper is about before we dig into like science. So that's when, there was the, 2 minutes or 1 minute of just saying, what the paper is about before you actually go into like, so what about, this research question? Because it helped a lot.
Yeah.
Can I, actually, this is a very long segment, but just to add to this, find a team that is supportive, find a team that you can work with, find a community that you want to talk to so that you can know your audience. And if you want to do this as part of, some sort of conference or event or something that has a registration fee, that has a big organization behind it, I'm going to be, I'm the producer, I'm the jerk. So don't, try to at least get paid for your labor, right? This helps us as a community. This helps us, get, to some higher standards of not, it's not going to be a lot of money. So you're not going to get to higher standards of living, but, to get used to the idea that this is work that is hard and it requires specialists, even if those specialists are just to know how to debrief, right? I'm not doing any button pressing or fancy tech.
Actually, a really critical part to point out there, when we did the very first one, there's a reason that Mike and Antonius asked me, because for those of you who are not familiar, I run a YouTube channel on the side of this. I've been doing it now for about 7 years. It's got a following. I have built an entire tech and production pipeline here in my office. I know how to do this. Funnily enough, live streaming is not the thing I'm used to doing, but I can pivot to it. And so that was how we were able to move from base concept to, we had a really crap version of this in less than a week, because I knew how to get there. And then I started working on how to improve a lot of our production setup and our graphics, and then Anne's been a huge support to that. So there's a huge learning curve if you've never done anything like this before. So, and that, I think that really points back to what you're saying there about getting even asking for equipment budget to support it or something like that. We actually cannibalized a huge shout out to my Patreon community, who have essentially funded my equipment for the last 5 years. It was thanks to that we were able to get this up and running so quickly the first time round.
And just to be clear, we didn't get paid for FDG TV, but we did get support. They supported us and allowed us to up our equipment game and things like that. No, I think you're right, Antonis. I think people should ask to be paid, but in case people thought that was implying that we were, I just thought
not paid. Yeah, like paid.
Sorry,
in kind is fine. Yeah, like just make sure that this is not something that people are asking you to do without understanding what they're asking, right? Because that's the one thing. It's different to chair a session, and it's different to run this thing.
It's a great point,
right?
Yeah.
And we should move on.
Yes, please.
Yes, we need Antonius in the background yelling at us. Okay, so last question. Charlene Foch asks, is there a moment you had to edit out for the sake of time, etc., but wish you could have left in?
Are we playing the blooper reel now?
No, we'll do that in a minute. But that's the stuff that we had to edit out.
Yeah.
Not for the sake of time or anything. That was just because it was crap.
I don't know. I'm pretty
and yet
sad
we still have 4 hours of content on the show. So that's good.
Yeah.
No,
I am sad that we had to edit out Tommy's song, but that is in the blooper reel. So
Tommy's song is in the blooper. Well, one of Tommy's songs is in the blooper reel.
Tommy's song brackets radio edit.
Yes.
Yes.
I dropped. There were a couple of segments from Best Paper Watch that I dropped. One of which was a better, in some ways, a better intro to the first episode, where I kind of described authors as Pokemon catchers going out to chase down papers. But it ended up getting cut. Honestly, the lore of Best Paper Watch is very confusing. I'll have to sharpen it up for next year, but that's something I wish maybe I should have kept in. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about Best Faith Watch later, if there's time.
I think with regards to the actual episodes, there wasn't anything that we had to edit out. We're careful to manage the content and the questions that are going to be coming. As we said, we communicate this to the authors in advance. We want to make sure we're not putting them in a difficult position or asking them a question they don't want to answer. Nothing from the guests was edited out. The only bits that were edited out of the episodes were screw-ups by the hosts. And the number of edits increased over the week. Like yesterday was the most number of edits I've had to do. The first episode, I did barely any.
And then we got cocky, obviously.
But also, like one of the other things, we have a rough idea of a 1 hour show. And the whole time it's going, Antonius is in the back and he's covering his mouth because he is watching the clock the whole time. And so it's like, okay, and particularly when we're in the middle of having a conversation with a guest, he will actually be going, hey, you know what's a really good question? This is one of our questions that we've already got ready. This would be a good one to segue into next. And, speaks to both of us on Discord while we're chatting to the guests. So if you ever notice my eyes moving across, it's because there's a conversation happening here of which of us is going to ask that next question and stuff. And then there's a lot of time management going on behind the scenes, but we still kind of roughly do a 55 to 65 minute episode.
Yes.
Go on.
Oh, I was just going to ask Tommy if he has access to the video of Antonius's Antonius chat. It's in the assets folder.
Is it? Hang on, I'm gonna go and look it up.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway,
Meanwhile,
I
can fill in the void.
Yes.
I was just laughing because you were like, oh yeah, we have a 1 hour show plan, and I need to make sure of that. We literally started Monday saying it's going to be a 45-minute show.
You said that. I knew that was never going to happen, and I don't think Anne or Tommy promised.
Yeah, we knew it'd be an hour.
Actually, I'm going to keep filling.
This is our last one because then we're going to keep moving with this. We've already been doing this for 45 minutes.
This is the last question. It's okay.
One tiny thing. One of the other segments that was basically just added to the show on Monday was Anne's amazing idea of the photo challenge, which was, first of all, spectacular way. We've been struggling with different explorations, and we didn't have time to talk about our different experiments and how they failed, maybe in the reflections track next year. But this was community engagement. We've been trying to play with community engagement a lot, and this was the perfect way of doing it because it was asynchronous. It was low effort in terms of you don't have to put your life on the line. You're just putting your pets or your house or your neighbor's house. It was really nice to get people excited to show off their work, non-academic work, obviously, and actually contribute to the show, right? And this was also 15 minutes every show.
That's true. Can plan for it.
Do we want to ask for the audience participation now then and run that reel? Or what is next? I
think we should we've got a few questions coming in, but if you have any particular questions you want to raise, I think now's the time to get them in the chat. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. Am I allowed to do this? Are we doing this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, Anne's also got if there's anything that you want to tell us that you liked about the show or anything you'd like more or less of, if you want to drop any, this is our feedback channel essentially. So while we're showing this next segment that Tommy's going to do, if you want to drop questions, if you want to drop feedback, anything in the chat, go for it. Sorry.
No, that's also, good. Sorry.
I don't know which video you're playing, but if it's mine, I'm sorry for the quality.
It's ours. I'm going to figure out how to get yours into the setup because we didn't do it in advance. No, so this is just a brief break because we wanted to show you all the stuff that did actually get cut.
Yes.
All right. Game face, everyone.
Okay.
Here we go.
Today is the day of technical
Today is the
issues.
day of the technical issue. Oh,
we were fine. Mike posted yesterday about how smoothly everything was going.
Oh, yep. That did it.
Well, I'm just thinking about cookies and gravy, and no.
Oh, when you ask for a cookie in the UK, you know what you're getting. Yeah, I'm just conscious that we lose all the good. It could be white chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate. Could be triple choc. Could be shortbread cookies. Oh, I love shortbread cookies. Camera, are you okay? Blink your shutter if you're being held under duress. Now I just want a shortbread cookie. Our top production team has just pointed out someone's hungry, someone's dieting. Shut up. And right.
We don't have time to play games.
We don't have time to play games. We're researchers. Oh yeah. The sweary song changes every day, and we're gonna have another photo challenge tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, we talked about it already.
But I thought we were doing a do-over here, so I was kind of.
Oh my god.
I'm just letting you explain it, and then I'm gonna do it. So, have you had a chance yet to check it out?
Why are you putting me on the spot, Cat Cam?
Next year, we need to have that. We need to set you up with an extra camera, which is just pointing at where the cat is. Getting ready for first guest segment, take one. I'm sure Jim's totally cool with Cat Cam.
Yes.
Why are we doing this? I'm going to edit that bit out. It's for the likes and the subscribes.
To get into the first day mood of a conference, generally it's sleeping off jet lag.
I swear, all the gag material is going to be this one episode, I think. Alrighty, there you go. You now discovered our secret. I have a lot to say about biscuits. Cat Cam, there's a request for yes, we definitely want Cat Cam.
Okay.
That is genuinely something I'm thinking about. Like we should maybe like sort that next time.
I might have a vested interest in that. That's cool.
Editing the sweary song so you couldn't hear or you couldn't figure out which particular expletives I used was actually a lot of work.
I imagine.
The raw unedited version is available on our Discord server, but it's absolutely not safe for work.
Not even remotely. You didn't have the Antonius segment.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to do that, so we're just going to talk while I'm figuring that out.
Cool.
I'm going to just triage live.
Okay, great. So while you do that, Jose had a question for us. So FDG TV is targeted to the FDG community. Have you considered extending this project, but oriented to the general public? Here's what's cool happening in games research.
I mean, one of us has been doing this for a long time now, specifically around game AI, but
whatever.
Antonis, do you want to say a few words about this?
Sure, put me on the spot. No, I can do it. We've been actually, so there's two things here, right? One is this FTG TV? If it's, a TV show about papers and events that are happening around FTG, then yes. The second thing, however, the question is to the general public. And this was something that we struggled with for a long time, because it's hard to make a, it's not a very heavy, let's say, analysis of the papers, but the people that are attending are attendees of FTG. And we might get some few people that come in, or some new viewers that might be interested in game academia, but it's a niche community. We will never be AI in games, since Tommy mentioned it, because we're not dealing with AAA games that people want to play.
I mean, I do balance between the two, but it does skew a little more heavily towards AAA games these days. I will concede.
Sure, I didn't mean that, but it's still much more towards the games that are published, rather than nuances of academic nuances, right? So it's hard to make a show like this for the general public, I think, is my main point. Now, about if you're talking about aligning or allying with different conferences, that's a different issue that has different communities, etc. Please, Anne, go ahead.
Jose mentioned maybe pick papers. Pick pickled peppers. Pick papers from past conferences and discuss them as a suggestion. So, but yeah, I think there's been some thoughts about game academia and game academics as a as the quote unquote general public as the audience, and looking a little more broadly.
Mm-hmm.
I think for us, there's also a community aspect where we don't just want to, we would like to look at running other events or different kinds of events. But also we want to be able to teach other people to do this for themselves. So that's why we want to create these resources for people. And at the end of the day, I mean, as Tommy said, we did have this set up, but you can do this with a lot less. Like me and Antonius have streamed workshops from a rucksack when we were traveling halfway across the world. So it can be done, and we want to teach as many people to do it as possible and help them get the confidence, because we think it's a really good and interesting way of doing these events. And further to something that someone said earlier, I think it was Judith's question about whether it was only for remote. I've made the team promise that they will keep doing this with me until we get to do it in person at least once. I want that real TV studio feeling at an event where we can have a live audience standing there, people coming in. So, you know, I don't think this just has to be something for COVID times. I think this can be a different
mugs,
way that
with mugs with our faces on it, and you know, us in the back just basically like complaining to people sun. With it. Yeah, exactly.
And I want a headset like while I'm walking around.
Right, exactly. One thing, actually, this is important. So, and this is why Matthew's early question was important as well. Like, this is, you know, we're doing this for, you know, for fun and for dissemination and for getting through the hard times, and, you know, people being locked down, and although Anne is not having a bad time right now anyway. But you know, we also wanted to talk about the values that we have, right? We have a mission, and we do have an agenda, and it's important that, you know, like the people that enjoy this, you know, they actually follow through with the idea of openness and inclusivity, and, you know, basically giving voice to people that have been traditionally not given a voice to. And this is, you know, like, sure, we can talk about the technical bits, or, you know, how many people you should have on your team. It's for, but, you know, like, also keep in mind that, you know, you're doing science or, you know, academia for other people as well, right? So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And you have your hands full, but would you like to guide us to the what is next?
I think I've got it set up, which might work.
Okay, we're gonna try.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay,
some more
apologies.
bonus content.
Massive apologies for the quality of this video, but we couldn't leave Antonius out.
All right, do I press the button?
Yeah, press the button.
I have no idea what this is. Punch it! Music.
Shout out to the three of them, honestly. I get to watch from the green room. All I can do is interpret these messages. The three of them are amazing.
Oh my goodness.
It's just like this balancing act. Oh, Anne, that was amazing. Thank you for making that.
You're welcome.
Oh my God.
Oh dear, that is quite funny because he does give us so much grief.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You paint me in the most positive light I could.
Antonius is the best.
I was going to say, I think one of
Antonius
my favorite bits, and I think it wasn't yesterday, maybe it was the day before, but like we said, like Mike's in the green room, like welcoming all our guests as they come in. So Mike can only see how the episode is going based on what's happening in the Discord. And so Mike will come in with this optimism of like, I'm sure it's all going great. And I need to find the actual line where Antonius was like, nope. This is not going well. Like, whatever you think sounds so great coming from this conversation, that is not what's happening. You were being very critical of us, I think, during that segment.
So
Antonius.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying we love Antonius.
Yes,
he's the best.
Oh yeah, he makes us better.
So the whole, thank you, Kaylee. The whole point of the burger, by the way, is that on days that go smoothly, Antonius will have like broccoli or some healthy meal. And then on the days that are bad, he'll have a burger. And so yesterday, when all of the technical issues happened, in which we also thought we would lose everything we'd recorded up to that point, which made both Tommy and I kind of lose our shit a little bit. Anyway, that was when Antonius just busts out with Burger Day,
which I committed to. And
yes. You see that in the gag reel, You saw the bit where I was in a bit of state of panic. If you were watching yesterday's episode, you might have noticed about halfway through Kirk Lumblade's interview, I went chalk white. And that's because my software froze. And if I interrupted it, I ran risk of losing our interview with Josephine and Sabina. And that was a great segment. I was like, I don't want to lose that. And Mike's like, they're still in the green room. I'm not going to invite them back in to do it again.
I'm not doing it again.
Oh my
Would have been
God.
awful. Just like, hi, can you come back?
I aged, I think, about 9 months last night.
You did. You looked so much older, like after.
I was so tired this morning, and I think it was still like an aftershock of that whole thing.
All right. So the next, kind of wrapping up here. Thank you all for sticking around with us because it looks like we could not keep to an hour. I don't know why we thought we could.
This, though. It's been
yes. But I asked people to post their thank yous and kudos, and so I wanted to read these out. I don't want to be the only one reading them though, so hopefully somebody else will help. Yeah, let's go around. Who wants to go first?
Well, I mean, now you're committed to it.
I guess it's me. All right. I'm doing it. So Laura Levy, I don't know if she's here or not, but she'll watch it later. Says many thanks to Henrik Warfelt at KSU for being an awesome co-chair of this FDG. He has suffered infinite, but how do you do anything at all in easy chair? Which I have that question too. Pesterings leading up to the event and has taken it in Nordic stoic stride with also several exasperated sighs. So thank you so much, Henrik, for all of your help.
And Laura adds, kudos to the FDG community across the world, across time zones, institutions, languages, research interests, career levels, and more. We're all here together, and I can't wait to see you all in person for a future IRL FDG. I agree, Laura, that was lovely.
Yes.
I'm just going to piggyback on that to basically say thank you to the community for, the lively Discord, because I'm speaking as a general chair from last year, so I'm not going to, backseat drive this year's, but, the chairs put up a playground and everybody fills in with, their amazing voices and amazing stories and amazing contributions and, so much activity in the questions and the science, it's always like a conference, I forget, but, like all the life, you put in, and it's really great to have such a nice supportive community. I'm going to ask, sorry, as soon as I find it, I'm going to read the next one, which is by Josephine Baird, who was our guest yesterday. So many lovely people have made FDG really great, but I want to say again, a huge thank you to Mike Cook, who has been working so hard, clearly, and has been a big part of the behind the scenes for us, our paper and our presence here at the conference. Mike's support has meant a huge amount and has had a direct impact on us being here and being able to have these fabulous conversations and meet so many lovely people, including the rest of the lovely FDG TV group. Although to be fair, this is the first time I'm shown on camera. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, like we've basically chatted over, text, and obviously the three of you were able to talk to Sabine and Josephine. But yeah, like it was a really great segment, and we were really blessed to have that segment on. It was tough, but it was worth it.
Yes.
Josephine's also referring there to the reflections track submission process, and
I know
with a new track there were, but Josephine and Sabina were incredible in persevering through that, and as you were saying to us on the Discord, Antonis, it's resulted in a pretty amazing paper. Like we all were very, very blessed to have you and that paper on our show. So thank you so much for those kind words.
Our next thank you is from Josh McCoy, who says, can I place a shout out to Aaron Sarmasi? He is my MS student. This was his first paper at his first conference. He did great.
He did great was my addition, by the way, because he did great. Yes. Welcome, Aaron. Yay. I hope your first FDG was fantastic. All right. Antonius is going into producer mode and starting to highlight stuff. So John Holmes
I've not seen any
Right.
I
messages
didn't even
in the
notice that.
Discord.
Yeah,
Oh,
fair
well.
enough. Sorry.
I'll read this one, Anne. You can read the next one.
Okay, all right.
I just wanted to say that Anne and Laura made FDG a really fun and welcoming experience. Thank you so much. It was a great learning experience, and I look forward to more events.
Thank you,
And
John.
yeah, I think we all want to thank Anne and Laura for doing a lot of work to welcome those first timers in.
Thank you. And then Florence Smith-Nichols says, I want to give kudos to the whole FDG TV team, as I've enjoyed the show so much this week. Also, special mentions to Anne Sullivan for making me feel welcome, and Mike Cook for being an awesome supervisor. Hey, Mike.
Well, I haven't started yet, Florence, so you don't know. This is premature. But no, we've been having some great chats so far. I'm really looking forward to your project, Florence. Thank you.
Months from now, you're just like, I can't get a meeting with him. He's just constantly
I
on
know.
live streams talking about other people's research, and he's getting lost in the forest talking about some best paper he found in a shrubbery. Sorry, I was going to get very Monty Python there. Okay, that's the end of that. Into our
Yes.
thank yous, isn't it?
Yes, it's time for us to say.
Yeah, we need to say
Our thank yous.
Did anybody prepare these?
Oh,
No, I
we'll
was just
do
gonna
another
wing it.
round.
I mean,
Who wants to start?
Right.
I'm gonna be lazy, so I'm just gonna go ahead and
Keep it short.
thank- Yes. Thank all of you for basically, not only being amazing people to work with and amazing on camera, so that we can get this show on the road. And but I also want to say how supportive, the team is. So like we have a Discord that's running year long, and we use it for our gripes, and we use it as a way to keep ourselves sane during this hard time. And if you are out there, find a team. There's a lot of chat right now at FTG Discord. Find some people that will ground you. And I know that Mike has this story about us to at least basically being yin and yang and balancing each other out. But yeah, find a team that can basically make you a better person. And this actually goes to all of you for making me a better person, at least.
Well, it's a lot of work.
I didn't need to
Find a
prepare.
team that's willing to break rules with you. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
We love you, Antonis. We truly do.
Yeah,
I
we
love
do.
all of you.
Yes.
I want to thank the whole team as well. You are all fantastic. I know that we're all going to want to do that, but I do just want to reiterate that. I actually spent a lot of my research career working solo, as some people who know me for a while will know. But collaborating with good people is one of life's greatest pleasures. So, and the other thing we wanted to thank you is the community. Ultimately, we
Yes.
don't do, lots of things are done for metrics or numbers in academia. They're done because we want citations or we want CV lines or things like that. But we do this so that you'll tune in and have a laugh with us. And the support this year is just better than ever, and it really meant so much to us. So thank you, because we did it so that we could have these moments with you. So
Yeah. I'll thank you all later, so it doesn't just become us being oh, we love you all. But thank you again, like Mike said, to the community. Thank you for sending in your photos, your questions, your thank yous. Without the community segment, I don't think this would have been as strong of a show.
Mhm.
So, and that's because of you all. So thank you so much. Thank you for showing up and watching with us. And I mean, that is what really makes it feel like we're not just talking to an empty screen.
Yeah, I think I'll just add to this and say, well, first of all, a thank you to the FDG 2021 committee, because
Yes.
we are problematic at times. We will ask for things that are not ready yet because the conference is on a particular cadence of getting stuff ready for getting and we're like, can we have the best papers, please? We want to have a look at these best papers. Or can we get access to this, that, and the next thing? And so particularly, I know Antonius deals with a lot of this because this is kind of his job in production. But yeah, thank you to Alan and Joanna and Matthew and the rest of the team there who put up with us pestering them for stuff, which in the grand scheme of things is completely incidental and not relevant when they're trying to run a conference. So I think that's important. Thank you to all three of you. I am also a I was going to say, I'm an academic who has done most of my research. I was an academic who did most of my research solo. So I probably have spent more time collaborating with you three on this nonsense than I have done in my actual entire research career.
Yes.
And also, of course, to everyone watching, because it's nice to see a lot of genuine enthusiasm and love and energy for this sort of thing. And speaking as someone who spent a lot of time putting content out like this into the wild, it is very difficult to continue to do it if you cannot tell whether there's any love behind it, if there's actually some genuine response to it. And that takes a lot of perseverance, particularly individually. I think also sometimes I'm the slightly more experienced one going, don't worry, it'll be fine, this is all going to pan out, because it takes a little time for this sort of thing to grow. So yes, a thank you to all of you who tune into this and listen to us, because this feedback, particularly as we see even in the live chat tonight, it tells us so much about what you have really resonated with over the last 5 days, and that informs our we're probably going to have an immediate meeting about this, maybe not tonight.
Yeah,
But
Yes.
I was going to say, I bet you get an email from Antonius tomorrow about it, right? We need to have a meeting next
Yes.
week to discuss future. But
Yes.
yeah, thank you. That's very important.
I actually have additions. Yeah, please go ahead.
for
Oh, I was going to say, I wanted to also mention we should not forget to thank Jim Whitehead
Exactly. That's one
to
thing.
let us do this absolutely crazy thing.
You do have to ask permission, yes.
The only person in the world who looked at the mess last year and thought, yeah, I'll have that again.
Yeah.
More
That
of
was the
that.
right vibe.
And here's a little bit of budget for, cat phone or cat ear
Cat cam.
headphones.
Cat cam. Cat cam 22.
Actually, and this is one important thing that I forgot about. I mean, sure, the community, the audience, that this is, it's really great to see you, but thank you to the FDG authors, because this is something we forgot.
Yes.
Right? We had amazing people to come on, not because we invited them, is because they submitted a paper and they submitted it to FDG, and it was an amazing paper. So thank you for submitting to FDG. Thank you for writing things that were experimental. As Mike mentioned earlier, thank you for playing around or breaking patterns, and we will give you, we're very happy to give you a voice here. So we are only a vessel that is filled by your creativity and your input, and of course Mike's garden, but that's a different story.
And actually Brute joining us, because at the same time you've submitted a paper, and then somebody who potentially you've never heard of in your life
Actually,
goes,
that's also true.
hi, would you
I
like to come and
completely
sit
forgot
in a Zoom call with us for half an hour and talk about your research? Which is dodgy AF, right?
Yeah.
And also, given our beautiful planning is usually kind of last minute. So
Well, we did 1 week in advance, which was fine.
true.
An improvement for us.
Exactly.
Before we go to the last thing, I
ahead.
did want to add one more thank you, if that's okay. Actually, I forgot,
6
which is to my
months saying
mum.
we would get ready 1 week in advance.
So the reason I was in Bournemouth that week is because that's where my mum lives. She hasn't been very well for a couple of years now. She's been recovering, and we went out for walks every day, and she was such fun and was always taking me to places I could shoot, and got really into it and giving us props and things like that. And I did want to have to thank her before we go out, because I had a great week. Yeah. So
In
thank
fact,
you,
maybe we should watch a little bit of what your mom contributed.
We
Like-
have a little
See that
bit
version.
more. We have a little bit more best paper watch
Yeah,
for you
like
all.
maybe the best paper watch blooper reel. Let's see it.
Alrighty.
Hello and welcome to Best Paper Watch. In addition to our young watch, don't forget the papers that we talked about today are going to be shown tomorrow in those paper sessions, so get over to the FDG TV website. Nope. So do check out the FDG TV. I did it again. Wait, FDG TV, FDG TV, and FDG TV, FDG TV, as you can see. Wait for the plane to go.
What are the barriers you find? What kind of support do you get from your workplace? There, let me just check my bird guide. Why would it be a bird guide? Tomorrow, so get on over to the FDG. I've said it so many times. We're in a forest today for a humorous reason that I can't think of because it's pissing down with rain. I'm joined by local park ranger Misha. And she's been finding a funny reason for me to talk about a paper called... I've forgotten the name of the paper. It's on the screen now. I've edited it in later. You know, it's been a long week and I'm very wet. And I'm going to have to re-record this segment. And so I've come to the south of England to hunt out... I forgot the intro. No, sorry. Hello everyone, my name is Mike Cook and I'm part of After Spring Summer Conference. My own joke. Assuming I do cut any of this in, please go read the paper. Alright, let's take that from the top.
Gosh.
And one last thank you for the response to that, because I was a bit nervous doing that, but the response was amazing. So I bought one last pan of chocolate for today from the conference. So.
Oh.
Props all the way. You're a showman.
Yes.
This is what you should be doing.
Dedication to the craft. Dedication to the craft.
All right. So I think this is it.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done. So thank you again, everybody. It was so lovely chatting with you today. Thank you for showing up. And we're really looking forward to talking to you more in the coming year and maybe at FDG 2022.
And maybe
Keep in touch
even
with
in
us.
person.
Let's keep doing wonderful things together. And doesn't
supporting
matter.
each
We're not
other.
attached to look, we're not attached to conferences or universities or anything like that. At the end of the day, we're just all one big community. And
people are individuals. I want to
exactly. That's our tagline for this episode.
Thank you, Antonius. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
There we go.
The thing is, I need to put my hands down because we don't transition out of this until I do it.
Okay, you can do it.
Sorry, but hey, I'm Scottish, so I've got my whiskey ready. Slanja.